I remember reading this thing in Bachelard where it was the first time that it seemed I had heard anybody say something positive about housework, because he talked about when you polish a surface, how you're practicing the phenomenology of being by bringing the object, the table, the tray back into being. So it does connect with my imagery, which actually has this the idea of the body throughout every work, but it's been gotten into the work, into the sculpture in different ways. And one way was by doing work myself, that is, using my own body to make a history, for instance, as you say, on the surface of an object. But I don't feel that I have to do that anymore. To me, it's not a necessary way of giving value to a work. And I do some of the work, and I have it sent out, and some of it's fabricated, and I don't have any feeling that somehow I must do every step, or that the labor can't be divided.
The column is based on the human body. The body in a column is actually based on a bound body in human sacrifice. I like plaster as a material because it's very malleable. It heats up. It almost feels like yeast or bread dough. And it has a it's kind of like a living matter. I tend to think of myself as a person who makes work in situ. In other words, does work directly on location. I simply create work in an architectural circumstance, and I work directly with architectural components. It's for me like having a dialogue with a structure and giving a human presence, or the human presence of form, to an architectural interior.
The imagery that I do is very, very precise. Now, because I'm working in steel, I have to be very sure of the form before I send it to a fabricator. At a certain point, I blow up the drawing, full scale, in paper, to work on the pattern. It's a very visual investigation of the form, so that by the time I send a pattern to a fabricator, I wouldn't want to make changes. But because my artwork usually involves more than one element, there is always room for still working with the final piece, because I can add an element, or I can change an element, or I can space them differently. So the piece is never really finished, and my involvement is never finished in it until it's installed. And even the act of installing is a very creative act.